Alright y'all, welcome back to the top 10 heroes missing from Battlefront 2 part 2. If you're watching this video and you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you pause this right now and go watch that. That's where I actually rank them from 1 through 10, which heroes I feel like should be in the game. This video is just me giving those same exact heroes abilities that I think they should have in my opinion. Now if y'all have already seen part 1 and you're ready for part 2, I want to let you guys know before we get into it, the next video I'm going to be posting is a highly requested video. It's going to be the top 10 villains missing from Battlefront 2, and obviously once I finish that video, there is going to be a part 2 where I do the same exact thing and give them abilities as well. Now I saw there was actually a lot of confusion in the comment section. A lot of you guys were commenting, where are all the dark side heroes? Why didn't I have any of them on my top 10 list? And I know I didn't make it clear, so that's on me. Basically what I wanted to do was just make a top 10 list for heroes and a top 10 list for villains, but I understand you guys' confusion, so like I said, my bad. But by the time you guys are watching this video, that villains video is probably almost done, so if we can get this one to 50 likes, I will drop that for you guys tomorrow, no question. And I'm gonna also see if I could drop the part 2 for that the day after, just so it's like a seamless transition from part 1 to part 2. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it.
Who's the man?
Time to find out.
And one thing I want to hit on before we get started is, I know I said I want to go over their abilities, outfits, and voice lines, but I took out the voice lines aspect just because I feel like it's not something that is really too important to go over. Plus, it's not worth going to try to find all those voice lines in the different episodes and movies that they all said it. So with all that officially out of the way, let's start at number 10 with my boy BAZE MALBUS. Basically, I'm going to try to keep every character short, sweet, and simple to the point, so I'm not sitting here rambling for 45 minutes on each character as to why I gave them this ability, because I honestly could. Now, the 3 abilities I'd give my man BAZE are called Guardian, Desperate Times, and Covered Retreat. Now for Guardian, BAZE MALBUS switches to a sentry mode where his MWC-35C becomes a one-shot to all infantry and does 40% more damage to enemy heroes. The reason I give him this ability to start off is because if you've watched Rogue One, which I assume you all have, you'd know that he's pretty much a tank that goes around knocking around stormtroopers like they're cardboard cutouts the entire movie. So the animation's pretty much going to be like the basic turret like you're seeing right here on screen, but imagine it's BAZE MALBUS and every single shot he puts out is a one-shot to all infantry and is going to just shred enemy heroes. For his second ability called Desperate Times, BAZE MALBUS pulls out an HH-12 rocket, which is the same one he used in the Rogue One movie. He shoots one rocket which does major damage to enemy vehicles, but like I said, it's one rocket, so make it count. Now the reason I gave him this ability is because one of the funniest moments in the entire movie is when you saw him shoot the rocket at the AT-AT and it basically just turned to the left and looked right back at him. Now for his third ability called Covered Retreat, while this ability is active, BAZE MALBUS will receive a 60% less damage for 10 seconds. Now I know what you guys are thinking, 60% damage reduction, that's a large percentage, but you gotta think about it. He's gonna be a huge, clunky, clumsy kind of tank character, so he's going to pretty much have a huge hitbox and kind of be easy to kill, so he's going to need that damage reduction. And I believe he wore the same exact outfit the entire movie, so I'm not going to have any skins for him, unfortunately. So let's move on to the next one. At number 9, we're going to have CHIRRUT IMWE. Now he would arguably be one of my favorite heroes in the entire game if EA went the exact route that I'm going right here. Now his 3 main abilities are going to be One with the Force, Bojutsu, and Guided Vision. Now his first ability, One with the Force, CHIRRUT IMWE receives 75% less damage, but is limited to a walking speed for up to 10 seconds. Now I know what you're thinking in your head, 75% damage reduction, walking like a freaking turtle, he's just going to be a big bullet sponge. That's pretty much the point of this entire ability. If you remember in Rogue One, he had the famous scene where he stepped out and said, I'm one with the Force is with me, and pretty much nobody can hit him. Now I feel like if you gave him an ability where nobody could shoot him, that's kind of overpowered, so I wanted to give him something where like he wouldn't die immediately, but it's a little more accurate to the movie. Now for his second ability, Bojutsu, CHIRRUT IMWE switches from his light bow to a flamed hardened Yutai wood staff to cut down his enemies. Now look, there's probably a 95% chance that I just butchered the name of that staff, but we're gonna sit here and pretend I said it the right way. Now if you've seen Rogue One, it should be no question as to why I gave him that ability. Pretty much the entire movie, some of my favorite scenes were when he was just going crazy whooping those stormtroopers with the staff. Now for his third and final ability, Guided Vision, CHIRRUT IMWE pulls strength from the Force to reveal all nearby enemy locations. Now for an old dude that was blind, he was probably the most alert person in that entire movie. So let's move on to number 8, which is going to be another character from Rogue One, obviously, Jyn ERSO. Now believe it or not, Jyn ERSO was actually a super hard character to make. I sat there watching the Clone Wars, because that's like my brainstorming show when I do all my videos. I sat there watching the Clone Wars thinking, wow, what kind of abilities could Jyn ERSO have where I'm not just mirroring the ones that she had in Battlefront 1. Then I brainstormed some ideas based off her character that I thought were okay, so I actually want you guys in the comment section to compare Jyn ERSO from Battlefront 1 to my Jyn ERSO, because like I said, I never played the Battlefront 1 DLC, so I can't make that comparison myself. So for baby girl Jyn ERSO, I have Infiltrator, True Rebel, and Stardust. Now for Infiltrator, while this ability is active, Jyn ERSO is able to expose her enemy's weaknesses by temporarily blinding them for a certain duration of time. For True Rebel, Jyn ERSO can heal herself and recharge any ally abilities if they are within a certain radius, excluding heroes. And for the third ability, Stardust, Jyn Erso can command an orbital strike anywhere on the battlefield. So Jyn Erso is actually one of my favorite Star Wars characters, so if y'all think I did her justice, let me know in the comment section. And the only other outfit I want to see is that black Imperial outfit that she had at the end of the movie. Moving in at number 7, we got my main man Qui-Gon Jinn. His 3 abilities that I would give him are Force Push, Guidance, and the Living Force. Now for his first ability, Force Push, is kind of self-explanatory. Qui-Gon Jinn's strong connection to the Force allows him to push enemies backwards. For his second ability, Guidance, Qui-Gon Jinn draws strength from the Force to heal himself and those around him. And finally, for the Living Force, Qui-Gon Jinn draws strength from the Force to become more diligent with his lightsaber attacks, dealing an additional 15% more damage per swing. Now, the reason I was super iffy on that last ability is because if you remember in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn was never really an aggressive fighter. He was more of a defender, but I feel like as far as defense, you can kind of make up for that with his star cards, so I wanted to give him a unique ability outside of any ability that I've seen any character in Battlefront ever have. And the reason I'm comfortable with this is because arguably the only ability that's close to that is Dooku's Duelist, and it makes sense because he is Dooku's apprentice. Now for Qui-Gon Jinn, as far as outfits, it's pretty simple. I want to see a robed Qui-Gon, an unrobed Qui-Gon, and I want to see the outfit that he's wearing in The Phantom Menace when they picked up Anakin from Tatooine. Alright y'all, moving on down to the top 6, we have Ezra Bridger at number 6. One of the characters I was also super excited to make this list for because he's so unique and has so many different ability options that I was just going absolutely crazy when I was thinking about what I could do for him. So the 3 abilities I have for Ezra are going to be called Secondary Fire, Natural Leader, and Conflicted. Now for his first ability, Conflicted, Ezra shuts off his lightsaber and can blast enemies with his DL-44 for 25 seconds but takes more damage when shooting his gun. Because we all know Ezra was moving with that funky clunky lightsaber that could turn into a gun in the first half of the show. His second ability, Natural Leader, Ezra can reduce stamina costs and weapon cooldowns for himself and the allies around him. And his final ability, Conflicted, which is my favorite, Ezra draws power from the dark side, making his lightsaber attacks deal more damage, but he also receives more damage. Because we all know in Star Wars Rebels, Ezra was tempted by the dark side more than a few times, so I feel like this ability kind of pays homage to his character. You have the ability to do more damage, but you're also putting yourself more at risk when you activate that ability, and I feel like that's a metaphor for what the actual dark side is. And some skins I want to see for Ezra, nothing too crazy. I just want to see original long-haired Ezra, Season 4 Ezra when he got a little bit older, and finally just a grown man Ezra. I feel like those would be 3 skins that's pretty much all we need to see in the game. Moving into number 5, we have Captain Rex. I'm not going to say he's the most unique character on this list, but I just want you to listen to his abilities real quick. I loved making this list for Captain Rex. His first ability is called Brothers, his second ability is called Battle Formation, and the third one is 501st Training. Now for his Brothers ability, the first 2 players to spawn on Captain Rex will be able to play as ARC Trooper 5s and Jesse. Now if you remember in Battlefront 2015, if you spawned on, I believe it was Emperor Palpatine, you got to play as, I think, the Shock Troopers, or I'm sorry, his personal guard. This was something I was thinking about the entire time while making Captain Rex. It's not something too out of the way because it's something they've kind of already done in the past. And it kind of also gives you more of the illusion that more people in the game will be able to play as a hero, because obviously Jesse and 5s, they're not going to have the strength as an actual hero. They're kind of just going to be like little side characters that do a little more than regular ARC Troopers but a lot less than heroes. I think that's something that could be super dope. For his next ability, you have Battle Formation. Any trooper standing within a certain radius of Rex when this ability is active will grant them 25% more health for a certain duration. And finally, his last ability, 501st Training. While this ability is active, Rex's D17 pistols will do double damage with no chance of overheating for a 10-second duration. And maybe you can even go as far as having a star card that increases the duration but decreases the damage a little bit, or vice versa, increases the damage but decreases the duration. The possibilities are endless with all these characters and their star cards, to be honest. Now coming in at number 4 is obviously the one and only Cal Kestis. The first ability I have for him is the BD1 Stem. The second ability I have is called T'Pol's Training, and the third ability is Cal Kestis' famous Force Pull. I just loved using that ability in Jedi Fallen Order. Now let's dive a little bit into his abilities. The BD1 Stem. During battle, BD1 can heal Cal slowly over time. I didn't want to make this ability too overpowered like it was in Jedi Fallen Order when you get that instant gratification of getting healed right away, so making it over time makes it seem more balanced. For his second ability, T'Pol's Training, Cal Kestis can switch easily between a single and double-bladed lightsaber combat with ease. That is something that's going to be so unique straight out of the gate for him exclusively, because there's going to be nobody else in the game aside from Ezra that has the secondary fire that really has anything like this. And finally, Force Pull. Cal Kestis will pull enemies directly in front of him, leaving them stunned momentarily long enough for him to get some attacks off. There was honestly endless possibilities with making Cal Kestis. He was probably one of the easiest characters to make for the simple fact that, like I said, he just had so many different combination possibilities that it was pretty much impossible to miss on him. And ladies and gentlemen, just like that, we have made our way into the top 3. Starting things off is going to be the Mandalorian. His first ability is going to be his Precision Wrist Rockets. His second ability is going to be This Is the Way. And his third and final ability is going to be his Secondary Fire. let's get into it. Alright, Mando's first ability is going to be those precision wrist rockets. 5 precision rockets fire from Mando's wrist, killing any trooper on impact and doing major damage to villains. His second ability is going to be his secondary fire. The Mandalorian can switch to his phase pulse blaster, which will one-shot basic infantry classes and deal major damage to other reinforcements and villains for a 15-second duration. And last but certainly not least, Mando's final ability is This Is the Way. The Mandalorian takes 20% less damage and his 2 abilities are immediately recharged. Simple as that. Let's keep it moving. And gee, I wonder, can you guess the 2 skins that I want to see for the Mandalorian? Nah, I lied, there's gonna be 3. The first armor I want to see is the first armor he had. The second one is when he got the full Veskar super pimped out armor, and the third one's gonna be that same exact Veskar armor, but he's gonna have Baby Yoda. It's gonna be a legendary skin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 2 is the one and only Mace Windu. His 3 abilities are gonna be Vapad, Duelist, Force Crush, and Survivor. Now, before we even get into it, I'm gonna let you guys know Mace Windu was probably the hardest character to do. It took me about 20, maybe 25 minutes to just think of 2 abilities that I want for this guy. But the first ability is going to be Vapad Duelist. Windu manipulates the power of the dark side in his favor, allowing his saber swings to be 25% stronger and 15% faster. His second ability is going to be Force Crush. Windu uses the Force to crush up to 3 enemies standing in his way. And finally, his third ability is Survivor. Mace Windu can activate this ability to recover full health, but the regeneration is slower than normal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally got to number 1, and you already know it's going to be AHSOKA Tano. She's going to have 3 abilities. The first one is Leaping Dash, the second one is Relentless Defense, and the third and final one is going to be her 2-handed push. Now, doubling back to her first ability, Leaping Dash, AHSOKA Tano quickly leaps through her enemies to stagger them temporarily, making it easier for her to finish them all. Now, for her second ability, Relentless Defense, AHSOKA Tano blocks any incoming damage for up to 5 seconds, whether it's blasters, lightsabers, grenades, orbital strikes, anything in the game, she can block it for 5 seconds. And her third and final ability is going to be her 2-handed Force Push. AHSOKA Tano generates power from the Force to use both hands to push enemies back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the video. Comment down below how you think your boy did. This is the first time I've ever done a video this big, so there's probably a few mistakes here and there throughout the way, but hopefully you guys got the general gist of what I'm trying to do. And remember, this is a heroes only video, so the villains video is going to be dropping either tomorrow or the next day. And with all that said, I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.